Okay guys, I want to shoot out another video here and talk about traditional wives. I am headed to bed myself pretty soon after I relax tonight, maybe do some reading. But I wanted to talk about this for the before I do my night routine. So what do you think about the traditional wife? I'm watching this and I definitely have been a traditional wife, no question about it. When I was working, there was no thought of me ever being like finding Prince Charming and being a stay-at-home mom. This was not something I was raised with. I was raised with, go to college, make something out of your life, be a businesswoman, do something. So what happened to me was I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life after college. I tried college and then I'm like, I just went because the schools are like, you got to know what you want to do with your life. And so I just picked something that made money and figured if I'm going to work, I should make money. So I went to college for court reporting and I was working for a court reporting firm. Decided it wasn't for me, so went to school. After I was married, I decided that I wanted to go to hairdressing school. I didn't think I could get pregnant, so here I am going to hairdressing school. And this was in, let me see, 91 I was married. So I was pregnant in 92 and I was pregnant September of 92 and then I graduated in November while being pregnant. So I graduated while I was in school, and then once I was done, and I had already worked like 3 jobs. I worked at, before I got pregnant, I was going to hairdressing school, I worked at a restaurant, and then I was working at a hair care place at night. So this place in Derry, she gave me a chance while I'm finishing school to do hair. And the time I was done graduating, I was just like, you know what? I think it would actually be cheaper for me to take Medicaid and let them take care of the hospital bill. Because I heard horror stories and I wanted the works, right? When I had my first son. And then I was like, once I had him, I was just like, it makes no sense for me to pay a babysitter when I want to be home with him. So I actually loved having my son. I loved being home with him. And so I decided to stay home. And I did try working just for a little bit to help with the income at a store, Hometown Market in Pennacook, New Hampshire. And then every time I was at work, I was calling my husband to see how he was doing. I had missed him so much. And I didn't want to be away from my my baby. And we don't hear that much nowadays. We don't hear this. I really wanted to be home. So I stayed home, and then I continued staying home because I had another one and then another one. So in 94 I had another one, 96 I had another one. So from there we moved, and 96 September of 94 we moved. And then in 96 my husband had cancer. He had surgery, testicular cancer surgery, I think it was September. We had our third son, November, and December he had major surgery where lymph nodes were removed. They had cancer. So again, here I am at home taking care of my husband and my kids. And if we would have had the money, if we would have had tons of money, it would have been gone with the cancer. We both had always said that. Then the doctors said, you probably can't have any more kids. And I was totally just like, oh my goodness, I was devastated because I wanted a huge family. And my grandmother had 10, and I figured if she could do it with less money than I had, then I could do it. So I have a lot of good memories with my aunts and uncles. So we had 2 more. We had one in 2003, and then everyone was like, you are nuts, you're having more kids. And then 2005 we had another one, and I actually wanted more, but my husband was like, no, that's all I can do. So people were like, did you ever regret not having your girls? I never wanted girls until after my last one. Then I did. And God put me in a place right now where they're not my grandkids, but these girls next door, I just love them to pieces. Um, so I'm full. The kid, having a lot of kids around me, I do not desire anymore to have kids. I've had my fill. So now I will be working. Now, with the traditional wife role, I was just, listening to a lady on Michael Knowles talking about it, and she's right. It makes a lot of sense for women to be home, to take care of their families. Your kids are not getting as sick, they're not in daycare. It makes sense to stay within a budget. Pick a home that is cheap, pick a home that you can stay home in, that you can build the warmth of a home. Your husband can come home and relax. It really doesn't matter what the place looks like. It really doesn't. We were in a trailer for 23 years. So right there, you can tell I'm minimalist. I'm not, if I can stay in a home for 23 years with kids, I'm doing fine. So we had a trailer, and then we added on a room, and then the older kids left and we had the younger ones. But I had them in my room, me and my husband's room, for a time too. And someone had said to me, it was my husband's mother, she was just like, "You're having another one? You have no room." And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find room, because when you want something, you can make it happen, right? So we were there for a while, and then I just think of like all that time I gave, no matter how much money I make now. Like I was sharing that I'm going to have, another job, and no matter how much money I make now, it would never take the place of all the time I gave to my family. So I was a traditional wife. What I think about that is, I think you can make that your main focus, and I think it's great, but I also think it's great to have a sense of yourself and do something while you're home, so you don't feel like, oh, I'm bored, or I've got nothing to do except housework. I think, our identity, especially as Christian women, is in Christ. So whether we do something or whether we don't, it's not in the role of traditional mother is not in of itself. The role as a Christian is where our identity is, and that's what it's about. And we even see in Proverbs 31, the lady was, she was out there doing stuff, whether it was real estate or whatever. She was selling land. She was very industrious. And so it does make sense to do things when you're home and take that time to do it. So for me, it was homeschooling on top of being home. On top of making a home, it was homeschooling and learning and re-educating myself in a lot of areas. And now I'm more in the public, light, not just with my channel, but being out there and working now. So there is a time and a season for everything. I do think it's important when your kids are young to be teaching yourself about their development and how kids work. I think it's important to bond, to nurse. I did nurse all of them. I had home births with 3 of them. All the investment of, how to be a wife, how to be a mother, how to take care of a home, how to homeschool, church life, community, it was well worth it. So this is what I mean when I say I have no regret. But when we just define ourselves by being a traditional wife, I honestly think that is a high calling to be that wife, but I don't think our identity should be in that. I don't know that era of the 1950s wife was totally to me it was very like a secular culture versus the Christian culture, where you are a godly woman and that is more of your identity despite what you're doing. So that's what I got on my thoughts as a traditional wife. Your main priority is your family, and what you do around that, and women working to take care of their families is also very noble. So I don't think you could say, well, this woman works, so she's neglectful of her family. I would not do that. I think you can do both. I think some women can do both. I think some women cannot, and I think it depends on a lot of circumstances And I don't think we need to be judging one another. But yet, I think there is value in women staying home, and especially these examples of women who are staying home in this culture where they're going against the grain of the culture of, you know, you got to have a college degree, you've got to work. I think there is a balance of both somewhere in there. So that's what I got for now, guys. Thanks for joining me.